This is another in the First Read series where I read a poem by a poet I don't know or know very little about, and just read their poem for the first time. This one is from Tint Journal. It's a great journal that does a lot of translation and second language poems. It's quite an interesting read usually. It's Before You Go by Lise Reingruber, who I know nothing about basically, so it's a good first read. So the title is Sestina, which triggers some interesting thoughts about the poem already, because it tells you a little about what's going on. I always look at a form before I read a poem because I think it kind of helps you. This one is a kind of free verse style sestina, and you can see it's a sestina by the final words. In a sestina, you should have line-like words in a stanza that repeat in the next stanza in a certain pattern. So lion, dove, star, darkness, behind, travel. All of these words should repeat in the next one. There we have travel, lion, behind, dove, darkness, star, travel, darkness, lion, dove, behind. It just repeats in a certain pattern towards the end. This makes a sestina sound a certain way, and I think sestinas are difficult because when you have a kind of this limit on the end word, what you have to say is a little bit limited in itself. So that is kind of part of the process. So with this one, we start with the title, which is Instructions for Traveling to the Underworld. It's a pretty telling title. It's very narrative sounding. It's something clear, but it's also something that seems kind of mythic in itself. So we'll just kind of go from there. You hold a lion on a leash, you were dove. Just kind of, these opposite images of power, this powerful lion image, the image of dove, which is, kind of a peace image typically. Venus, the morning and evening star. It's kind of playing on this kind of opposition of the lion dove. In the beginning, you open your ear to the darkness. Leave everything behind and travel. Just, this kind of going to the underworld, leaving behind, you're opening yourself up to darkness and traveling, which is an interesting, start off with, this lion on a leash as you go down. It seems very mythic. Before you travel, tell a friend what to do if the lion will not return. If there's nothing behind you, no flying dove, only darkness and the memory of the star. That's kind of like, you're going to the underworld, leave some idea of what to do with a friend, so let somebody know what's going on. This is like when you go on a hiking trail, let somebody know where you're going, so if you get lost, right? But tell a friend what to do, the lion will not return. So this idea of coming back, like needing to bring the lion. If there's nothing behind you, no flying dove, only darkness. So this is what you have when you come back. Open your ear, don't look at the stars, and travel into the darkness. This is still like, how do you travel into the underworld here? Don't look at the stars and travel into the darkness. Like, it's as if, the stars are above you in the sky and there's some kind of hole that you enter into. It's just darkness, like a lion without a leash. Like move in, like this strong thing that's lion, like from the beginning. And a dove without a cage is kind of released animals. Like release yourself and go into the darkness, into the other world. Leave everything behind. Now as you fall behind yourself, gate after gate, no stars, no dove. As you fall behind yourself, gate after gate, it's like, there are gates into the underworld. No stars, no dove. Continue to travel without a lion into the unknown darkness. And the lion, we've kind of left it at this point. Maybe the lion is just needed to get you into the darkness. I don't know. Your sister rules the darkness. I don't really know who your sister is in this case, but it's okay. And behind her, there's a dead lion and an extinct star. So this kind of play off this stuff that you needed to get in there is now like this dead and the star is extinct. But if you're in the underworld, everything might have dramatically changed, right? It is the end of your travel. You've forgotten all about the flying doves. So the stuff you came into the underworld with is all gone. Now this is a commentary on death itself, this giving everything up. We have this, leaving everything behind in the second stanza. the idea of memory of a star. I think that was the third stanza. Was leave everything behind. The second stanza was the memory of the star. This kind of like leaving things behind as you go down. Your friend remembers. This is back to the friend, that I'm assuming was being told where you're going. There it is, the dove that appears in your darkness. And as you travel back, there's nothing behind you, only the stars in the shape of a lion. So it's like coming back, the stars are now behind you, kind of out of this darkness in the shape of a lion, which is some kind of death itself, like constellations and, mythology, where they would be put into the sky after death of doing something heroic. And there it is. And like you've come back from the dead in this kind of heroic action. And it's an interesting poem. I mean, I went through it fairly quickly. I think it's, kind of straightforward in its own way. I'm kind of interested to see if this is part of a series. I think this is kind of, almost like beginning to some kind of epic story that you could start with this Stina. So it's fascinating in itself. So it's definitely worth reading. Like I said, Lise Reingruber. Like I said, Lisa earlier, Lise Reingruber. Before you go, check it out. Tint Journal.